What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. Specifically, we are on the post-show for WWE Clash at the Castle Scotland. Just ended a few minutes ago. We're going to break down everything that happened on this show for the 5 and only 5 matches that were on here. And keep in mind, of course, all the results and everything, my review of what I watched, and anything else that you guys want to say as well. So keep the live chat going here. I see we got Peter in the chat. We also have Drew in the chat. I'm sure there are other people that are going to be filing in here and there, but chat it up. That way I can see what you're saying. And if you want to make sure that I am seeing what you're saying, then take advantage of these super chats that are available on there. That way that'll stand out and really pop up on the screen. So we got Pliskin in the chat now as well. What's going on? And keep in mind, of course, all the other things that are on the Marketplace to help us out and keep things going here on Smark Out Moment. We got the Redbubble and TeePublic shops for the merchandise. We got the Patreon and the YouTube channel membership over there for the Darkcast tier, the Pick Your Poison tier. Anything along those lines is all greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Also, the thanks button if you're listening to this after the fact and you want to give a little bit of spare change our way that way instead of the super chats if you weren't able to join live. I mean, it is 5:15 or so on Saturday, so you might be busy doing something else, but thank you for tuning in despite the fact later on and coming back and checking out what we've got going on here. Everything else we normally do here when it comes to helping us out, totally free. You got the like button on here. Make sure you hit that. Make sure you share this over on whatever social media and other kind of platforms is that you want to be making aware of Smark Out Moment. You know, pass this around to your friends, family, whatever it might be. And also keep in mind to chat it up on the Discord server that we have. It's always interesting to hear what people have to say about these pay-per-views and stuff. So, you know, people will be chatting it up there while we're doing this as well, too. And, you know, thank you for everybody that's involved in that. So, it's going to be a kind of quick one, I think. It is just me on this one, just Tony Mango. And I'm pretty sure that Callum didn't even watch it yet. I think that Rob has been... I mean, at the very least, he hasn't been messaging me with any kind of like, whoa, this was super interesting or anything along those lines. So, yeah, I don't know if that's going to be something that maybe is that he really enjoyed it, just busy. Maybe he wasn't really super tapped into it. We'll have to get their opinions about this sooner rather than later. Am I having that issue again, by the way, where my video is not matching up with my lips? It seems like this changes every single time, but it's looking a little bit odd for me right now. So, let me know if that's the case. I'll adjust this again and see why that is happening. At least it looks like that on my end. So maybe this is going to be a regular thing going forward of not being able to tell that. I have the same setup as last time. So it's hard for me to actually like listen back and do that all at the same time. That's why I don't have my headphones on. So if that is the case, let me know. As we go along here and we talk about what happened. So I missed the first few minutes of the countdown to Clash at the Castle. That pre-show was 2 hours long. I wasn't going to watch the whole thing. And I honestly was better off just missing those few minutes because nothing happened on the rest of it. And I highly, highly doubt that anything happened from noon to 12:05 or whatever it was. It seems like that's going to be the case going forward. And unless WWE does something, one of these shows that actually accomplishes, like they do an announcement, they add a new match, they put something on the pre-show, then it seems like going forward, I'm not going to invest my time. And I don't think anybody else should invest their time either. So maybe have it on in the background while you're still ordering pizza with your friends or something. And hopefully whatever you ordered and you ate during this, or maybe you didn't have to order if you made something or whatever, you know, keep a little snack talk discussion going on and let us know. I added some scrambled eggs and stuff. So, yeah, let's kind of get this ball rolling for some of this actual pay-per-view discussion, though. It started off with the I Quit match for the Undisputed WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes going in there, as you would assume, but it wasn't necessarily Cody Rhodes because the lower third that was popping up for him actually referred to him as one of the tag team champions in the women's division, and that his name was title name. Or no, it was talent name. That's what it was. So that title card was just entirely the opposite of, the placeholder thing, wrong championship. Definitely shouldn't have been Cody. So I thought that was pretty funny. The match itself is fine. I expected more out of them, to be honest. I thought that this was going to be, I wouldn't say this was going to be like some kind of super brutal, really bloody match or anything. I wasn't anticipating that. But I thought that they'd be able to pull off a little bit more of that tension of me assuming that, the title was kind of up for grabs in a way that, not that it necessarily needed to be like, oh, wow, I really thought that Cody was going to lose this or something. But I did think that they deserved to have more of those moments in here. There wasn't a single moment throughout this entire match that I really thought the belt was in jeopardy. It's, in the grand scheme of things, we all knew that Cody was going to win anyway. So if you enjoyed the match itself leading up to that, despite that being the case, then, it's probably solid enough thumbs up on your end. I don't want to give off the impression that I hated it or anything, because that's certainly not the case. But I just felt like it was meh. It was all right. And I'm a fan of AJ Styles. I'm a fan of Cody Rhodes. I like I Quit matches when they're done well. And this had more potential than what they tapped into it. So not at all surprised Cody retained. I think that this should be the end of the AJ Styles feud. I liked that they incorporated that little bit at the end where Styles was begging for Cody not to hit him with the steel steps. And then after the bell rang, Cody just hit him with that anyway. Just, screw you, pal. So he's getting, he's not quite full Homelander. And I finally watched episode 1 of The Boys from season 4 last night. But he's slowly getting into that kind of, he's going to have more of an edge thing. So I like that element of it. But overall, it's kind of on the bland side, if I'm perfectly being honest. Of course, when you get these pay-per-views the way that they've been doing lately, it seems like that is kind of, I don't want to say that WWE is being lazy. Maybe it's just that they realize that they don't need to put in all the effort. And I'm sure Cody and Styles that, they put on the show that they were wanting to put on and all, but it's after you get the whole thing with WrestleMania and like all the surprises and the interferences and all, it does feel like there's been a drop down in some ways. So I'm not anticipating everything to be like that. That's a special occasion. It's WrestleMania, the title change and all that. But it does feel like we're in a holding pattern a little bit. And now we know at least a little bit more about what we're going to get for the next pay-per-view. It's not confirmed or anything, but for Money in the Bank, it seems like it's going to be Solo Sikoa because the Bloodline started to go after Cody after this match. So maybe they milk it a little bit more. Maybe we get Cody, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton against the Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. Maybe by then that can be something where it's like, actually, what is the next pay-per-view that's after that? Is that SummerSlam already? Because there's like Heat Wave and stuff. I think it would be SummerSlam already. So then that, if they don't have The Rock or they don't have Roman Reigns for that, maybe they do milk that all the way to SummerSlam. And we get, at Money in the Bank, we get 6-man tag match. Somebody like Hikuleo or Talatanga, what it's probably going to be called. Talatanga interferes, and then that's what leads to the Bloodline being victorious, and then that leads to Solo being named the number 1 contender, and then we get Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. There are rumors that Bad Blood is going to return around October 5th, or on October 5th, and that'll have a Hell in a Cell match. Maybe that's Solo and Cody for Hell in a Cell, but Bash in Berlin happens before that and something else in September probably. So maybe we get a follow-up. I'm already trying to book the entire whole rest of the year and everything into SummerSlam through WrestleMania. Maybe it's 6-man tag at Money in the Bank, Solo Sikoa at SummerSlam, and then whatever they do at Bash in Berlin could be another follow-up with Solo. SummerSlam leads into the September kind of range after August, and then maybe Bad Blood is Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns in a Hell in a Cell match. I don't know about September. That's tough. Of course, if they hadn't announced anything for September, then how am I supposed to know? So the setup of that, we're going to find out more as time goes on. But I'm not the biggest fan of Solo Sikoa getting a title shot against Cody Rhodes when he's been losing the predominant amount of his matches over the course. How am I botching so much? Over the course of the past couple months or so. But they're repositioning him to be a guy that's in that kind of power. So I get it in some ways. So that's still going to be a holding pattern because I don't think that anybody's really going to think that Solo Sikoa is going to win that belt from Cody. And then we switch over to whenever we get Cody, whenever we get Cody and Roman, whenever we get Cody and The Rock. Still thinking that it's Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania and Cody does something else. Maybe a match with Randy Orton. I don't know. But I think that that's sort of where they're going here. Of course, I don't know when they're going with Gunther, so maybe we'll come back around to that. But the setup of, Styles and Cody Rhodes, I think that they're done. They should be done at least at the end of this. And that led to the triple threat match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill going in as the champions, defending against Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark, as well as the Unholy Union. And Alba, Fyre, and Isla Dawn came out victorious here. So they are the new Women's Tag Team Champions, not Cody Rhodes, not talent name. And then they, kind of fulfilled one of those little obligations from Scotland by, I believe Alba Fyre's not from Scotland. I think she's from, not from Scotland. She's not from Glasgow. I think she's from like another area. I just wrote up something about that earlier and I already forget. But she's like, she's from Scotland. And Isla Dawn, I think, is from Glasgow. So, basically the hometown girls. We're victorious. They get that big victory over there. And that's also, a positive thing to put out there for Alba Fyre, who just a few days ago lost her mom in a car accident, which is awful to hear, especially a car accident where she was on vacation to go to Orlando, Florida to visit Kaylee Ray. So a few days ago, her mom passes away and our condolences go out to her. But in this, she gets positive on this end and all. It's a shame that her mom wasn't able to watch that. That would have been great. I can't say that I am the biggest fan of the Unholy Union and that I am like super excited to see what their title reign has in store or anything along those lines. But I'm at least a little bit more interested than if it would have been Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark. Sonya Deville wasn't a part of this whatsoever. So whatever they've been teasing with that, which I'm hoping is not an actual involvement with Shayna and Zoey. I'm hoping that Sonya gets teamed up with Kiana James. And there's nobody, it seems, that have been better off to pair those two up. I don't really love that idea to begin with, but I think that that's probably the best they have. So the future of that storyline, we're going to have to find out what happens on Monday Night Raw. But Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn, sure. The win here means more than what their title reign's going to be. I don't know who will beat them for it. Kind of think it's Nia Jackson, Tiffany Stratton. I don't know. Shot in the dark, at least when it's his first thing. But the future of those belts and all, I highly doubt we're going to see it back to Bianca and Jade. So now I'm starting to wonder, okay, well, is this going to lead to Bianca versus Jade at SummerSlam? We've talked about the idea that they can pretty much only feud once they drop those belts and they split. And this isn't necessarily going to create that problem immediately. But if they don't have those titles anymore, then they don't have that connection that they need to have those two together anymore. And I'm banking more on the idea that we're probably going to see Jade Cargill turn heel. And, Street Profits are babyface. Not that has to be the case when it comes to Montez Ford and Bianca have to be at the same time, but it's a little bit easier that way. So, and Bianca's, look, realistically, who's going to be cheered more, Bianca or Jade? I think it's going to be Bianca. So I think over the course of the next few weeks, maybe things will, depending on the qualifiers from the Money in the Bank ladder match, maybe they're both in it. Maybe it's Bianca and Jade there, and then that leads to like Jade winning Money in the Bank by pushing Bianca off or something. And then that kind of leads to something. Maybe Jade just barely doesn't win that match because she ends up being pushed off by Bianca or, getting in the way of whatever it is. I think that's kind of how I would book this around right now. I'd probably do something where they're still friends, a little bit of tension heading into Money in the Bank. Something happens at Money in the Bank. And then we can go from that point onward into the whole rest of, that short time in July. That leads into Money in the Bank. So Money in the Bank's October. Oh my God, I'm all over the place. Not October 3rd. August 3rd, I think. I think that's what we're looking at here. And the way that they did this here, Alba, Fyre, and Isla Dawn win the titles by not pinning either of Bianca or Jade. I think it was Dawn had pinned Shayna. That keeps them strong. So, it's not a bad idea. Just can't say that I'm like super gung-ho thrilled. Oh my God, this is going to be turning the women's division around or anything along those lines. But good for them. And at the beginning of the next match, we had Sami Zayn and the Intercontinental Championship match against Chad Gable. Beginning of that, during Sami's entrance, we had another one of those QR codes, which is now counting down to just when Monday Night Raw starts on Monday night. And the assumption, of course, is that we're going to see Bo Dallas / Uncle Howdy / the Wyatt Six or whatever it might be. Maybe at the beginning of the episode. Maybe it's just counting down to Raw and they're going to tease it the entire night. But for them to not make a debut revolving around Cody Rhodes and for it to be on Raw, wondering who they're going to end up feuding with. Because Braun Strowman's an option. And wouldn't have been my go-to option for that. He's been kind of hanging around the Judgment Day a little bit, but then they haven't pulled the trigger on having him in a match against Damian Priest. And Damian Priest could use another title contender, but we do have Gunther coming up. And I don't know if Damian Priest versus the Wyatts is necessarily the right way to go, but if they attack the Judgment Day, and if they're the baby faces, or if they turned part of Judgment Day, I don't think that they're going to turn part of Judgment Day babyface. We still have Dominic Mysterio and Jade McDonough. But yeah, maybe the Wyatts are actually going to be coming around as the whole babyface thing with Judgment Day. That's interesting. Or maybe they're going to go after Sami Zayn. Maybe this is the end of the Sami Zayn versus Alpha Academy / Chad Gable storyline. And maybe they're going to transition from that, because what happened here was Sami Zayn retained the title over Chad Gable. Got a haluva kick. A little bit of a distraction when it came to Otis. And Maxine's been in a boot, and she ended up getting, taking a little bit of a bump. So Otis decided to go take her to the, assume the trainers and med staff backstage, which led to Gable being like, what the hell? You're not helping me win and all. And I guess in their mind, they don't want to pull the trigger on Gable winning the Intercontinental title. So what they're doing was they're just going with the storyline of, okay, now Chad is going to lose Otis and Maxine and Akira Tozawa. It's not the best storyline for me. From what I was hoping and wanting, I wanted Gable to win that Intercontinental Championship. And if Peter's right about that the commentary said that this is his last chance to win that, then unfortunately it seems like Chad Gable's not going to win that Intercontinental title. And that's already making me wonder. I still think the Creed brothers are going to team up with Chad Gable. And I still have them down as my go-to pick for the next tag team champions on Raw. I think that they're going to be the ones that beat the Awesome Truth. And, all that stuff can still play out. But maybe they just do not want Gable to win the Intercontinental title, and they have something else in mind for the Intercontinental title. That immediately makes me go, maybe they are going to actually go after Sami Zayn. But more so, when is Braun Breaker beating Sami Zayn for that Intercontinental title? If Braun Breaker has not won the Intercontinental Championship by the time WrestleMania 41 is over with, I'm going to be completely astounded. Unless, of course, he gets injured in the meantime or something. But I am currently jumping straight to Braun Breaker is going to be the next Intercontinental Champion. Whether or not he is the next person to feud with Sami Zayn, Gable is probably going to be feuding with Otis and Akira Tozawa and Maxine going forward. He's probably going to then transition that to the Creed brothers, maybe Ivy Nile, maybe she's out of the mix there. And that is going to be his new crew. He'll help them win the tag titles. That's my prediction. So that followed up by the Bayley and Piper Niven match for the WWE Women's Championship, and Chelsea Green being ringside and trying to put on a lucha mask for the, she got sent back from the referee. She came back out. She had a luchador mask on. That was the most entertaining part of this whole match. I didn't care about it whatsoever. I wasn't interested in, pretty much anything with this heading into it. I had no flexibility in my brain about Piper Niven having any chance whatsoever to win this championship, despite it being in Scotland. Just give her no chance whatsoever. I'm not interested in Bayley as champion. I'm not interested in her title reign as champion either. Like, the concept and the execution just do nothing for me right now. And that luchador was Chelsea Cardona. This did nothing for me. And the match itself did nothing for me either. Piper Niven's one of those people that I think that they don't use her as well as they should, and that she would be, let's face it, she'd be better off in AEW, I think. And, we talked about this before. Like, there's some people that I would definitely switch between AEW and TNA and even NWA and WWE and NXT and, kind of reshuffle the rosters around a little bit. And New Japan, from the people that I do know here and there and stuff. But Piper is one of those people that she's just not going to amount to winning that title, I think. And maybe she would in another company. Maybe she wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe she's fine in where she is. Maybe she's still wanting to, like, I really do wish that I could win that championship or something. But if it didn't happen here, it's not going to happen anywhere. And I think that I'm going to skip these ads while we're on here on YouTube. I think that if you were buying into the idea that she would potentially win the championship, I think that you were kind of fooling yourself. Like, she wasn't going to win. So I wasn't interested whatsoever. The match had no elements of it that made me interested. Not a single move. It is something that I remember except for their standard stuff. I know that Bayley hit an elbow drop at some point. I know that Piper tried to do a senton and didn't connect. And, it's not really something that if you missed it, I think that you should even bother watching the clips on YouTube. Maybe you liked it more than I did. Disagree. You're totally free to disagree with me. Drop it in the comments and stuff. But to me, it was a pass. And then we got into the main event, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, or at least the World Heavyweight Championship. They still don't want to call it WWE. I can go on my soapbox about that over and over again, but not a big fan of that. I like the look of the belt. Hate the name. So Damian Priest goes in as champion, and the underdog, because the hometown guy, Drew McIntyre, has the crowd support. He's got the home field advantage. He is predominantly, working at the top of this match. He's got a couple moments here and there where Damian Priest is really on the ropes, quite literally speaking. And it was a good match. I think it might be my favorite match of the night. It's kind of in between that and the AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes match. I might lean towards this one a little bit more. And of course, the crowd's super duper pumped, trying to get as much support for Drew McIntyre as they possibly can. But the Scottish Warrior ends up having a situation where the referee takes a bump. And in that, I was just like, okay, something's happening here. The Judgment Day are banned from ringside, but maybe they come out. Or maybe it's my prediction that it's going to be CM Punk. And then another referee comes in, and I'm like, okay, they're just going to go with that instead. And by the time I notice, the referee's not counting anymore. And it's CM Punk. Punk has a referee shirt on. He taunts Drew McIntyre a little bit. We get a low blow. And a few moments later, Damian Priest pins Drew McIntyre, retains his title. The crowd is not happy about it. Even though there's some people that are happy about, like, hey, CM Punk's right around me. And they're like grabbing him and stuff. But, way more on the boo side of this thing than the yay side of it for this crowd. And that's as standard textbook kind of as you can get, but it's not a bad thing either. I look at this as something where I don't think I would have booked anything else. Some of the other matches, maybe like, yeah, of course I probably would have put Piper Niven in there, but like we were talking about on the hot tags, maybe it would have been worth it to kind of build her up a little bit. I would have kind of had that foresight. But as far as like Punk and the whole setup with like, doing the referee thing and all that, like, I like that angle. I would have done that. I wouldn't have put the belt on Drew McIntyre because I'm assuming what their plans are going forward doesn't involve Drew McIntyre defending that title against Gunther at SummerSlam. So Damian Priest versus Gunther at SummerSlam. We still have one more pay-per-view in between that. Money in the Bank is going to determine who ends up fighting Gunther. And we could get the Braun Strowman thing. We could get the Finn Balor turn, although they're really not hinting at that all that much right now. So I'm thinking it wouldn't shock me if that's actually something that they do closer to WrestleMania, if not at WrestleMania. And then, depending on the Rhea Ripley thing and the, split with Dominic and all, maybe that's going to factor that in there. But I don't think we're getting Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. I think we're getting either Braun Strowman, or that this is going to be the other alternative of where we can get the Wyatts in here. So if the Wyatt family goes and attacks Damian Priest, won't be too shocked. If it ends up being Braun Strowman, won't be too shocked. If it ends up being a rematch with Drew McIntyre, won't be too shocked. If it ends up being a CM Punk match against Damian Priest, I won't be too shocked on that either. But what I do expect to happen, if the idea is that Drew McIntyre might take some time off and might be, helping when it comes to his wife. I don't know what kind of surgery she had. Hopefully she's doing okay. But if she, needs a little bit of help or something like that, then maybe he'll stay home for a month or so, and maybe we're going to get something as simple as CM Punk becomes number one contender and fights Damian Priest, and then Drew McIntyre screws him over, and that leads to them fighting at SummerSlam. But there is also, as far as I'm aware, no confirmation that CM Punk is actually ready to return to in-ring action, just that he returned here. And that could be a big difference maker too. So I would anticipate Drew McIntyre is going to come out on Monday Night Raw. He's going to flip out. He's going to say, this is ridiculous. I got screwed over at Clash at the Castle in 2022. I got screwed over at Clash at the Castle in 2024. Both times I had the title won, and somebody came out, interfered, and screwed me and cost me that. And I've had it. I'm leaving, whatever it might be, however they want to play around with that. I think that that's the game plan. And then he pops back up at Money in the Bank or so. Or maybe he wins Money in the Bank. Maybe he's in the ladder match. I don't know. There's a couple different varieties of what they could do here, but I like the idea that Punk had been involved in this, and I think that the referee thing was really good. I think that keeping it on Priest is a good idea. I think that Drew McIntyre is going to be even more interesting going forward than if he would have been champion, and I'm looking forward to who ends up fighting next for the belt. So all 5 are wins on my front. So it's another pay-per-view that goes down as being kind of just run-of-the-mill. Nothing that I'm going to add in my best or worst end of the year list or anything. I don't have anything at all written down, even like in other categories, beyond match of the year and stuff. But like, I'm not going to put like Chelsea Green's outfit and her luchador mask as being like the best thing that anybody wore throughout the entire year for like best costume and stuff. I'm not going to put down the surprise CM Punk being like the biggest surprise of the year or anything, because I kind of pictured that was coming. It's just an event. And hey, it's 5:39 and I'm done doing my coverage for it. Sometimes I'm totally cool with that. I would have rather had not had 2 hours of a pre-show. I'd rather them have got started and maybe started a little bit earlier and finished a little bit earlier, or maybe had a match or two then that I could have been interested in. But, if they were to cut out these things and just sort of make it a little bit quicker, same thing with AEW when it comes down to just making their stuff tighter, then we could be in for, a better setup. But WWE is definitely lowballing a lot of this, and I don't blame them for it. I think I probably, to be perfectly honest, if I was in the WWE creative team, I'd probably be like, look, okay, well, we're going to stretch a lot of things, and we're clearly succeeding. So the only way for you to get them to change that up is if they decide to do something and you don't watch. And I'm still watching. I'm still enjoying it. So that's what I thought about the pay-per-view or the premium live event. A little bit of water in there while I can, and keep your thoughts coming in the comment section below. I'm going to be shutting this live chat down in a moment, but hop on over to the video itself and leave your comments there. Hop on over to the Discord server, talk about it there. You got the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/the Set a tweet or an X, whatever it might be. I don't know. Send a tweet. It's tweet. It's going to be Twitter forever. Post something on Facebook. Of course, go to the page on smark@moment.com. Go to the page on eWrestling News, where I was just doing my bare minimum coverage on there instead of my normal breakdown of stuff, which all the more reason for you to tune into the post show, for you to be able to get my opinions and stuff that way. And stay tuned as well to anything in the future that might be coming out of this. I don't know if I'm going to write up something for like What Culture or something, but if you want to follow all the things under a mango tree that's out there, we've got all sorts of different options. We got the Fanboys Anonymous stuff that you can see over at fanboysanonymous.com. Always want to do more for that website. Never have enough time to do it. I'm hoping that I have some stuff to announce for that coming up soon, or like maybe like a little bit of a partnership, maybe with something else. I don't know. But whenever I get more time to do that, the better. And the more support that you show for A Mango Tree, the more that it applies to both Smark Out Moment and Fanboys Anonymous. So if you do want more Fanboys content, then head up to Patreon for Fanboys and let me know, or the YouTube channel membership there, or if you still do it on Smark Out Moment, it's still heading towards me, so that's great. We will have some updates when it comes to the Fantasy League after we get more in contact with Callum about this. He, of course, is the one that's commandeering this whole thing and keeping track of stuff. So I don't know what the differences were with I think that let's see what the time actually was for this. So I'm going to switch over to the Wikipedia page. Somebody might have already had this up by now. Let's go Wikipedia, Clash of the Castle, Scotland. So it's looking like the Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre match was 20 minutes and 20 seconds. And that should be, I believe Callum has that right for so Callum had said 26 minutes on the dot. I said 24:13 and Rob said 22:12. I believe that means that Rob is the closest and that he would have gotten the right amount right for that to win the Fantasy League again for this set of predictions. If he's not, then whatever happens with how that means, we'll talk about that in the future and different trades and point systems and everything. Callum's got that all locked down. I don't know what it is. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, as I mentioned before, the Discord. Keep in mind the Marketplace stuff. And keep in mind the link tree where you can find everything that's out there under A Mango Tree. You can find my LinkedIn. You can find my Letterboxd, which I do have to add to there. I have to add the most recent Fast and the Furious movies that I had seen. But the other stuff, Collider and everything that I've been adding into there and What Culture, whatever, share your support on all that. And I will always be indebted for you being a good person like that. And, hit me up on Facebook and Twitter at Tony Mango, and make sure that you are following everything else that's happening on smarkoutmoment.com for the future. I don't know exactly the next thing that we were going to be doing. It's kind of up in the air. We have to figure out a dark cast. We have to figure out what the main event's going to be. We have to figure out our schedules. We have to figure out if the hot tags are going to switch over to the dark cast tier, because that is definitely something that I'm very much considering here. So, if you have any suggestions for all that stuff for the dark cast or that main event, let me know. If you are somebody who is very, very desperate to make sure that the hot tags do not go in the $5 tier, consider donating to the $1 tier. More people that do that, the less likely I'm going to do that. So keep that in mind. And I guess that's going to do us in for Clash at the Castle. I have no idea what's been happening at the press conference thing because I haven't been watching it. But as far as I know, nothing, since Rob hasn't sent me any messages saying anything interesting's happened. So adios for now, though, everybody. Thank you for tuning in for this. Thank you for your comments and all your discussion. Thank you for tuning in the future. Now I'm holding you to it. Now you have to. And I'll see you next time. This has been another Smark Out moment, and I am being counted out.